that if this just didn't work, I could always just go back, change everything. I was like, you know
Right.
what? Why not go for it?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the things that you said was key is like you're a risk taker, like by nature, and that's who you are. And a lot of people, even like myself, I'm not. I, I'm coming into the phase of risk taking, and one of the fears I used to struggle with was the fact that not necessarily fear of a mountain, but what happens when you get over the mountain, like what's going
Yeah.
to happen. And a lot of people have that. They're not necessarily fearful of tackling anything. It's the factor of, okay, once I get over this mountain, what's after that? And they want to know so bad, and they want to be prepared for it. And you're not going to be prepared for it. You're not going to know what God's going to have for you. You're not going to know what success really looks like until you just hit the mountain and just go over it. And once you're over it, then God is going to give you what you need. And so a lot of times we define success in our own terms as far as different accomplishments when it comes to likes, when it comes to shares, when it comes to we post a flyer and, it gets a whole lot of feedback, but at the same time, is that really success? And so kind of going back to just fears, my next question is do you feel like creatives battle with the fear of, like I said, getting over that mountain? And fear of success, or is it more so of just fearful of the mountain itself? And when I say mountain, I'm talking about it could be anything. It could be the next financial plan, the strategy, the job, the task, whatever that mountain looks like. Is creatives more fearful of that itself, or fearful of once they get over it, it's like, oh shoot, I'm naked out here. Like I'm winning, but I'm kind of winning real open right now. So what do you think that is based on today's culture?
So personally, I think that when it comes to the aspect of a creative, I think that I'm gonna count myself in as well. I think that we're more afraid of the mountain in front of us because generally the mountains that are placed in front of us, we don't know whether to climb or
Yeah.
go around.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, so I think that we find ourselves mostly in situations where we're nervous about the mountain in front of us, particularly and especially from a creative standpoint, because like one thing I love social media. It's a weapon when you use it right, but I hate it because it creates comparison.
It really does.
It's like, from a creative standpoint, you'll see somebody directing a video, or you'll see the quality of something here, or you'll see like what somebody else created, and it's like, man, like I can't even do that.
Right.
I think like,
Right.
that right there is like, or I don't have the skill set, or I don't have the right program on my computer, or I don't have a MacBook. It's like, so I think we become obsessed with the mountain in front of us, not knowing what to do. Like, okay, we're here. What do I do? Do I climb? Do I go around? Do I just trying to go back? I think we're more afraid of the mountain in front of us because often we have to deal with so much comparison because of our gift set, because of our gifting. So I think it's that first one.
Yeah, for sure. And really, when people kind of go through this phase of trying to get or knowing, okay, do I go up? Do I go down? Do I go around? Like, what's the cheat code? Like, what's the shortcut? And we want to know so much without actually having the ability to actually just take the risk without a prerequisite. And we want the prerequisite so bad. We want the requirement. Like, what is it going to take before I actually walk? And the truth of the matter is, just like you started your business, just like I started my organization, it's really just taking the leap. And it's not really of what you have. I was using iMovie, like, what I'm saying, creating videos and different things. And when you actually do it, that's where your faith starts being active. Like, faith without works is dead. So when you're able to take that in context, like, your faith doesn't really move when you're not doing anything. It's still. And so, so kind of like switching gears just a little bit when it comes to just identity and how it is connected to what you post. A lot of the things that I see in creatives and a lot of gifted people, especially up and comers, is that they will upload something and their expectation is in the wrong place. Sometimes their expectation is, okay, I want the attention, but it doesn't necessarily create results, if that makes sense. And so I guess what I wanted to kind of dive into, what you guys just to talk about, is like how important is it to make sure that your perspective is in the right area when it comes to what you post and what you upload? because a lot of times we can get really caught up in uploading something and want the attention, but we really don't want like the fruit of it. You know what I'm saying? We really just want, okay, attention, like, shares, all this stuff, but okay, what are you going to do next? And how do you capitalize on that? And so if you can, just talk about how really, if it's strategic or not, and how important is it to really make sure that, yeah, posting is great, uploading your work is great, but your expectation of what it is that you post, like, is it in the right area? And where is it supposed to be? If you can.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're 100% right. So like personally, so because like strategy is my thing,
yeah,
I don't post anything that I haven't already thought through the outcome that I'm looking for, whether that outcome may be sometimes likes, sometimes just intentional engagement on my page, because I understand how social media is driven. I get some comments going, getting some chatter on my page. That post will continue to go up to the front top of somebody's timeline. It'll also end up on the nosy page, which is I call it, but it's the following.
Yeah.
Now those are opportunities for me to get more traffic to my pages, to my outlets, which in turn could turn into a profit or a follow. Because I look at all of my followers as like opportunities. Those are transactions, opportunities for transactions. And so like even when I'm like posting, I'm thinking, like, you know what? Okay, so how would this engage a new person? You know, or when a new person goes to my page, what are they looking at? Can they get a good grasp of me? Or, you know, so it's kind of like, I think it's intentional, especially for those who have a business and really have a brand. I'm going to talk about that later on too, as well. Like, it's to really, nothing is just a aimless post. One of the things that I tell people when I'm kind of coaching them, I'm like, when you go to my page, I post borderline carnal, but really funny stuff every now and again, and I just go through the screenshots I have on my phone that I send to my friends in a group message. And my thing is always about I understand the power in giving people you. In the day and age, everything went from being so personal then to extremely automated, and now it's actually transitioning back to more personal. People don't follow businesses; they follow brands, and brands are powered by people.
That's
you know, people buy from people. And when I realized that the more of me that I show, whether the good days, the bad days, the happy days, the funny stuff, it allows me to really be able not just to have followers, but to connect with followers. Because realistically, the stuff I'm posting is the same stuff they screenshot and put in their group message with their friends. You know? But it's like I'm intentional about making sure that even like everything that I do, from a scripture post or different things like that, the goal is there is a reason behind what I'm doing, because I want to make sure that I'm giving people all facets of me, because I realize that I'm the driving force behind my brand. I'm the driving force behind my business. And if I don't push it, like, for example, when I first started my business, I had a separate business page for my for Vision Birthdays.
Sure.
Even I have it now, and I just post up our work on there more so for easy direction for clientele. But I couldn't even get my friends to follow me twice.
Wow.
You know, like, so I'm like, you know what? Something as simple as, okay, you know what? That's great. That's tough. They can't get my friends to follow me twice. So how would a stranger follow me twice? So what can I do to make sure that when you come to me, when you encounter me, that you realize that I'm got a lot of things going on with the business, ministry, or just personal life. So I started to really be intentional about making sure that I display all facets of me. And I think that kind of, especially as a creative, you've got to have a strategy behind what you're doing and what you're saying or what you're posting, because at the end of the day, you are building something, you are creating something, you're curating something, and that needs to be at the forefront of your mind, because that's what you're here to do. And so like posting stuff or posting your work is great, but it's even like, you know, being intentional about when you post your work, you know, or flooding your timeline. Like, perfect example, we have quite a few websites that we did last month. I intentionally dropped those things little by little, because I'm not trying to flood you. I just need to have constant reminders out there that, hey, you know what, I'm in business, we're progressing, we have things going on, and boom, when you're ready to go look for it, everything will be in an essential spot. But I'm like almost like giving you nuggets to let you know, hey, I'm doing a whole lot more than what you think I am, or just reminders. Oh, you know what? Okay, I got something working. Because what happens oftentimes, like when I stagger things intentionally, it becomes one of those situations where somebody, oh my God, I didn't know you did websites. Well, it's like, great. Thanks so much for
right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but that ends up being an opportunity for a transaction for me. But it's all about being intentional, even in your posting, because as I mentioned before, man, social media is is by far the biggest weapon that we have to our advantage. Now, we've seen social media ruin people. We've seen it time and time again, but it's a weapon for a business owner, and especially as somebody who is powering and building a brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's very key. Now, now you talk about social media, and like we can even go into Instagram pages, for example. One of the things that it's very key that when people have multiple gifts or they're just extremely talented, one could be a web designer, then the other, and then they can have photography as a side hustle. Like how, and it's just a side note question, I guess. There's just been this huge thing just over the years as creators as far as, oh, you can't multitask. And then you have a side that says you can multitask. I'm on the side personally of you can actually multitask and do stuff in excellence, but I think it's a matter of how disciplined you are and making sure that you have the right goals and the right strategy for each thing that you do. But the moment you start intervening and you lose time and then you start dibble-dabbling in other stuff and then you get confused on, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I go left, right. And it's like, okay, now I don't know what to do. Now, what is your take on the multitasking thing? Like, how do you feel about people who multitask?
So it depends. I know firsthand that it's probably borderline impossible. I believe I have this thing in one of the books that I'm finishing up called Split Energies.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is just really off of my personal experience. Every time my energies were truly split, something went neglected. And oftentimes, as I mentioned earlier, like when I always did my business in addition to 2 other jobs. My energies were so naturally something failed or something did not get the fullness of what I had to offer. And I feel that same way. But also, I really have this is my real perception about creatives. Most creatives aren't organized because that's not their strength. It's probably never going to be their strength. Right. Their focus is creativity. And because their focus is creativity, organization, to a bare minimum, they should be organized enough to get projects done and different things like that. But organization may not always be a strength. So it's kind of like staff your life and utilize what's around you to make sure that you can build what you have effectively and still produce. Because I work with entrepreneurs, I've coached them who are extremely creative. And because they're so unorganized, and because they're trying to build a business, they're trying to do all these things that they just don't know how to do or don't have the passion to do, they end up losing the drive for the thing that they love. All the components that come along with it is like, wow, I went from creating videos that were, getting major traction on YouTube to now I am barely touching a camera because I realized that in business, so many other pieces were needed and I just don't have those. Instead of just kind of taking a moment and saying, you know what, I don't have that. Let me look around my life and see where that is because I need some help. We'll quit.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe creatives are just not organized, or they're not the most organized because that's not designed to be their strength. My own team, for example, it's myself and I have 3 designers on my team.
Yeah.
I'm an organizer. I'm a strategist. So we have a project management software that I use and I upload stuff and I put dates in there. So all they have to do is go in there, copy, create.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because understand.
What'd you say?
I've learned that organization. I'm never going to be able to get them to be organized like I'm organized because that's not their function. But that's also why they're in a different lane of creativity. I'm a thinker. I'm a brainstormer. I can curate an idea and we can go forward. But they can create the visual that makes that idea that I created all that it needs to be.
That's so good. That's so good. And that's why it's important that creatives who want to go big with what they do and even purpose, like I personally feel like all creators need a team. And if you don't have a team, at least have a partner, like somebody that can really kind of pull the reins on your creativity, because sometimes we can go out there and because we're so creative, we want to do kind of everything when it comes to what we do because we're so creative. We want to just go, and we want to just grab this, do this, draw this, type this, put a graphic up. And it's like, you need people to really like, hey, come on back, come home. let's see what we can do. Let's organize this like you do. And so going back to just the offering you when it comes to your brand, like what happens when you don't? And I know that sounds so simple, but a lot of people that I run across, when it comes to branding, they are very, very scared of offering themselves. They try to separate their product from them. And it makes it really hard because, you know, people want to know you. And we live in a culture nowadays where, and I'll be honest, sometimes we're so simplistic that we just want to know what you do, give me your product, and how does it resonate with me? Like, what is it good for me? And so when it comes to people in just creators in different fields, they try to separate everything that they do from who they are. And my question to you is, how dangerous actually is that when it comes to your product versus your identity?
So I actually don't think it's dangerous.
Okay.
I don't, but I do think it's a place where you are beginning to limit your profitability.
Sure.
So it's like, it may not be dangerous, you know, you may be able to sustain and to build, but you are limiting your profitability. If I solely, I'm gonna pull up my Instagram. If I solely went on, I told you guys I have a business page. My business page, I Birth Visions, has, because I told you guys my friends wouldn't even follow me twice. You know, and that's the reality of it. Most people are not going to follow you twice. I have 333 followers on my business page.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? Cute. On my personal page, I have 6,642 followers.
Right.
So it's like, at that point, it's like, now we're in a major situation because that's an opportunity for money to be made, an opportunity for what I have to be presented in front of the right people. Because if I focused and ran it solely off my business page, I would be a dead duck. I would be in a position where I may not make a lot of money because there is just no gathering of people there. They're just not available. So that's why I say that it's maybe not so dangerous, but you eliminate your profitability by not allowing people to connect with you. Because I've said it more than one time. I know people, I've had clients who came to me, who work with me, not because of what we produce is the absolute greatest.
Wow.
But their thing is, I like you.
Right. You're pretty dope. Right.
Yeah, I connect with you, you know, or I saw you at church, or I saw you out and you spoke to me and talked to me as if you had known me for 10 years. And I know you don't know my name.
Wow. That's amazing.
Those things really matter when you're building a brand. Even like right now, like my website, my company Vision Birth is just 3 years old, but I'm still running my website off of I Am Evan Brown.
Yeah.
And that's intentional right now because like I am like, okay, you know what? I am still in the developmental stage of putting myself out there as the face of what I'm building. So like, meet me first, because I know that because of personality and just kind of kindness and sometimes even charm, I can get you to connect to me. And then me selling you on Vision Birth is easy from that point because you've already naturally connected with me. Yeah. You know, but that's kind of like a great way, especially in this day and age. That's probably one of the top ways to build. And honestly, I don't want to say the only way because that's so limiting. But I think it's one of the quickest ways is to allow people to connect with you because you have gifts, you have experiences, you have you know, components of you. There are things that are just that people would just love if they just knew, and that love turns into sales. Yeah, like especially as a business owner, like when people love you, they'll buy your stuff. Think about how many people buy things from Gucci, Zara, Louis Vuitton, Christian Louboutin. I used to work at Christian Louboutin here. Those red bottoms are $1,500 and they're uncomfortable. And most of those shoes are. Wow. But because people love the brand and they love what it represents, they continue to purchase it.
Wow.
And it's like, that's the same power that we have as business owners. They may not always like you, or what you offer may not be the absolute best, but if they like you, they'll come back to you.
Yeah, and that's key.
And when they'll come back to you, they'll refer people to you. And now you're successful in a substantial business because people have fallen in love with the owner.
That's key. That's key. And I think that's one of the things that I've heard past couple of years is relationships is the equity of the kingdom. And it's not necessarily, it's never really the finances part, because the finances will be there. You know, if God is a provider and he's unlimited in his resources, then we don't really have to worry about that. What we should be focused on is the relationships, because those are the things that bring us to the next, you know, goal line. You know what I'm saying? And so kind of going into the segue of branding, just a really simple question. Like, what is the misconception that you feel people have when it comes to branding? Like the number one misunderstanding, if there is a misunderstanding, when it comes to branding, because a lot of people kind of have this view of what branding looks like, and then they portray it on how they brand themselves or brand their music or their websites or their whatever it is that they do, whatever art they do. Sometimes their branding can be misunderstood based off of X, Y, and Z. And so I guess just my open discussion question with you is just, what is the big misunderstanding or the biggest thing that people we still haven't got it all the way right when it comes to branding?
I think it's purely just miseducation or lack of education. I know people who say they're building a brand but have never even Googled what the definition of branding is.
Yeah, sadly.
You know, you're trying to follow a blueprint and that you just haven't even picked it up.
Yeah.
You know, people like certain things about branding are just across the board, no matter what definition you look at. But one of those that I consider to be written in white, which is not really there, but it's like branding takes consistency.
Yeah.
The best way that's the first thing I tell people. You're trying to build a brand, well, how consistent are you going to be?
Yeah.
Because that's the way, you know, I can't, which one of the Consumer Reports let us know kind of basically that you have to put something before somebody 7 times before they purchase it.
Wow. Yeah.
So that right there completely shifts marketing. It shifts your marketing plan and what you're doing. It shifts everything. But it makes sense though, because when you see guerrilla marketing, when you see aggressive marketing on different things like Facebook, Delta looking at a flight, then boom, you get on your Facebook page. Delta now is all of a sudden the banner on the side, because Delta is paying money to track your cookies to keep those things in front of you, because they know that is the more you see, the better chance that you're going to go ahead and purchase it.
Because I'll be looking why did this pop up on my thing? And I'll be looking at a shoe website on a website. And then also on Instagram, it would be like, hey, buy these shoes. I'd be like, wait, I didn't know y'all was connected. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
All it's doing is just kind of putting it back in front of your mind. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions about branding is that we just don't even know what it is. You know, we think that branding is as simple as posting a social media flyer or having a flyer or having a website. Those are components of branding, but that's not what it is. In order for you to brand, you have to actually know what you're doing, know what you're having. You know, I work with Christian owners and Christian business owners, and sometimes I'm like, okay, you gave me a beautiful explanation of how you got here, but when you started to tell me what you're doing, none of that made sense. You know, so I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions about branding is actually being able to identify your brand and what you're doing. Branding includes things like knowing your target audience, knowing your target, you know, who is your target audience? What's the age demographic? Because when it comes into that, it's almost like branding is the big umbrella, but it's all those components that go up under that make the brand or make the brand to be enhanced or make the brand an absolute failure. You know, if you're making a product that's designed for men, your flyer needs nothing pink. It needs nothing softer in color. It needs everything to be big, bold, angry, aggressive, blacks, reds, maybe some navy blues. You have to be, you know, you careful with the goals. You know, but those things are components of branding. But if you don't take the moment to try to educate yourself on what is branding and what is a brand, you'll never know that all those things you're thinking that you're doing that it is branding are just components of it.
Yeah, that's key. That's really key. And people sometimes they don't look up the definition of branding. And so sometimes you might have flyers that look one thing, but it produces a whole nother result. and really in keying in on targets. And so let's talk about how important it is to target, like to find the target people. You know, when you see people who have those sponsored ads on Facebook, for example, and in those options, it tells you what's your target, who is your target. And of course, you know, when people want to go easy, they're like, oh, United States. But it's like, no, who is your target? And so talk about the importance of, when it comes to marketing and branding, just the misuses of and the advantages of targeting what's your target audience. Because again, we're gifted people, we're creative. We just want to create, but we never have a bullseye on what the creation is for and what the art is for. And so kind of briefly just talk about the importance of branding and marketing comes to finding the target and what happens when you find your target.
I'll start off with that. When you find your target, you win.
Yeah.
When you find your target audience and hit that bullseye, as you mentioned, you win. One of the biggest things one of the dumbest mistakes you can make as a business owner is to not know your target. Because at that point, you're automatically wasting time, you're wasting resources, you're wasting money, you're wasting connections. You are beginning to be wasteful of what you've given and what you've been trusted to steward. Everything is not for everyone. And I think that's one thing, as business owners, I don't think that we nail that or kind of beat that into everybody's head in the beginning enough. Yeah. That everything that you create is not for everybody. Yeah. I wish that somebody would have reminded me of that when I started off, because I started trying to do things to appeal to everyone, not realizing that I've got to identify my target and work my target, work my lane, because that's where my money's going to be.
For sure.
So identifying the target, you have to have one because it'll tailor everything that you do. So I just took a position with being a brand manager for an African-American lady here in Chicago who helped Healthline. And, we were kind of sitting down in our initial conversations and consultations. Okay, who is this for? Well, I want people to be healthy. Okay, who are people? Well, African-Americans. Which African-Americans? North, South, East, West, Midwest. Oh, well, all over. I said, okay, great. So what's the initiative? I said, who are you really? I said, who do you want to be affected first? Women. I said, oh, great. So I said, your target audience is women. Okay, so now we got African-American women all over the country. That's your target audience. I said, well, so what are your products for? Like, what do they do? I said, explain to me. So she started walking me through how all these things, all these health things that we do, that we don't do, affect a part of our life. I said, so do you realize that we just curated an entire target, and basically a marketing plan? African-American women around this country, mothers. So now what do we do now first when we present you? We present you, you're already the African-American woman. We can see that. We present you now as a health enthusiast. We can already see that. Yeah. But we capitalize on the fact that you're a mother.
Yeah.
You're appealing. You want to help mothers. Let's show you. Let's make sure that we're intense about broadcasting and putting in the forefront that you're a mother that is not only doing her thing and pushing a healthy lifestyle, but she's raising a family. She's managing a home. She's keeping her husband happy. I was like, that's the angle right there. Yeah. So that's the angle to push to take this thing to the next level, to reach. Because what'll happen is that when you have a target, once you start to hit your target, you'll start to bleed over. And a good bleed. It's like you came in trying to affect only African-American women.
Other people.
And their mothers. And because you start to help these mothers who are African-Americans, they have friends. All their friends may not be married. Right. All your friends may not have kids. So now you are affecting the single mother, the single woman. So great. Now, single women, what they do? Most single women hang in clusters. So now you've got a group of, you have the potential for a group of single women to be affected by what you started off with, just trying to hit your target. When single women are in clusters, guess what? Most of them have good jobs. Great. Now they're at work. So now they're at work drinking their detox teas. Right. And so the administrator or their boss comes in and says, oh my God, what is this you're drinking? I've noticed your energy levels are higher. You're a lot more pleasant. I've been drinking this energy tea. My friend told me about it, and she started. And so now we got your boss now purchasing because of the single woman's recommendation, or So now you start off with a target, and now you're hitting targets you didn't even meet. Right. But that's profit. Yeah. So that's why it's important to have a target, because you have to have a focus. When as business owners, when we don't have a focus, we start to do things that A, are not our passions, B, don't make us any money, and C, just don't align with our vision. Yeah. That's terrible. That's when you are automatically in that space where you're wasting, because your focus is off, or you lost, or you have not identified your focus at all.
Yeah. And that's key. You got to identify your focus. And so the target, you have your target. Let's just say, okay, we got a target. We know what we want. We know what we're aiming at. We know what we're doing. We know how we're going to bleed over. Now, moving forward now into numbers, analytics. And I'll be honest, analytics has gotten that conversation with analytics and Instagram numbers and Facebook numbers and all this stuff, it's so kind of, you beat a dead horse with that sometimes. So it's like, okay, can we just create and post? Like, what I'm saying? Like, people they stop talking about that. And so now they get lazy into paying attention to that, and not necessarily in a healthy way either. Like, sometimes we get so caught up in numbers that we forget that we are supposed to be resonating with people too. And I remember going to a conference in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago. And I remember somebody saying the best thing you could do is making sure that what you post and what you upload is resonating with people more so the likes or the shares. And it really catered to me just because, on the simple fact that we as creatives, sometimes we post, but we don't really, we're not aware of the factor of, okay, how does this resonate with the next person? How does this relate to the next person? And so my question to you is, how do you, if you can, how do you marry analytics and paying attention to numbers, paying attention to how it's growing and all this stuff, but also making sure that you're still resonating with people? How do you marry the two?
I think so. One thing about analytics is that they're great because they're informative. So there are certain things you pick up on from analytics, like, for an example, posting times. You can recognize, they'll pretty much give you a custom report of when people tend to like your things the most, or when your personal traffic is high. I think if you start to mix some of the practical components with the meeting people or connecting with individuals, you are setting yourself up for success. And I think that's like I think that's about the only way to do it organically. And that's what I'm pushing people to do now, is build your brand organically. But it's easier to build a brand faster when people can connect with you, you know? So kind of give different pieces of you. I know I can't tell it enough. Giving them every facet of you, or giving them at least the pieces of you that you know are going to connect with them. Because guess what? In the morning, if you're a focused, devotional, get up, kumbaya type of person, you know, give us something that you picked up in your morning devotional. You know what I'm saying? On your story, give us a little bit of the, of, you know, what's your music playlist is like. One thing I tell people all the time, I'm like, your Instagram page is your, it's like your magazine. Yeah. Your Insta stories is your reality show.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it's kind of thing like, if you start to kind of really mix in both measures, you'll be able to successfully and organically build up your brand. And most importantly, you'll be able to kind of translate that into actually being something, because people love to connect. You know, that's why we have social media. Social media started off, especially Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. They started off as a deeper connection point for people to share their thoughts.
Wow.
It's all about connection. It's all about being creative in how you connect. But some of those analytics are just never going to work for you, depending on what it is you have to do. But sometimes it's just a matter of like marrying those two with the practical points from that, and then you still doing your part to kind of give the pieces of you that you desire to be seen, or that you know need to be seen for you to be able to expand your platform. One person that I think is really brilliant, his name is Justin Foster. I think, is he doing?
Yeah, he's going to be on part 2 of the next one.
Justin is me and Justin work well together, and we talk quite often. I kind of helped him kind of talk through a lot of ideas, and I tell Justin all the time, you are positioning yourself to be the mouthpiece for entrepreneurs. Yeah. I said, because you're willing to go on, you are on the Insta stories and the Facebook posts, and you are really saying the things and releasing the burdens that every entrepreneur is having. Like,
so transparent. Yeah,
you're transparent. And I was like, and I tell them all the time, you don't realize that you are becoming that voice. And if you don't recognize it and accept it, you're going to miss your window, and somebody else is going to come along and become that voice, say those same things you're saying, and go a little deeper, and they're going to maximize that opportunity, and they're going to monetize it, and you're going to be sitting around wishing you would have taken advantage of that, because that can create another stream.
Yeah So
you know, something as simple as like just kind of like marrying the two. Justin is the creative that does graphics, but in the midst of him just doing flyers and posting flyers, he's like unintentionally, just he probably was frustrated the first day. Like, I'm sick of this. I'm tired. Like whatever. But it's like, it's the things that we're all thinking. I want to quit today.
Right.
I hate this client. I want to get this lady her money back. Like, you know, those things like that. Like, but it's like the true sentiments of where we are. So it's really just a matter of kind of like staying true to you, giving the pieces of you that you want to give, but just kind of using the practical points. Like, hey, you know what? You can have a great idea or a great flyer, but don't post that flyer at 2:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. Nobody's up.
Come on. Exactly.
Nobody's up. You know, nobody's up. Nobody's going to see it. So just kind of be practical about it. It's like, you're up because you're making flyers for 5 different people.
You're creative.
Yeah. And honestly, most of the rest of the creators that are awake, we all are stuck in our laptops too. So we're not even going to see it to be able to say, oh my God, bro, this flyer's amazing. Oh my God, sis, this video that you put together. We're not going to see it till tomorrow. And because we're going to be scrolling the next day, because we're going to sleep till 10:30, 11 o'clock, because we've been up all night trying to create. It's so far down our timeline that it's just not seen.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's not seen, we can't like it. We can't share. We can't even affirm one another, because things are just out of place, timing wise.
Exactly. And just going to just the timing part, like timing is everything. And one of the things that I don't really, I guess I've fallen out of. I used to be this person of creative where, we just create and we just release whatever it is, and we're just everywhere, and it doesn't matter what you do as long as you just release it. And it's like, no, sir. Like, you cannot be a person that's just free willy-nilly with your art. You have to have structure, you have to have impeccable timing and strategy to everything that you do as a creative, and to our weakness, because like you said earlier, as far as we're not the most organized, but it's important to have that tangible, or at least have that person that can say, hey, let me pull you in and let's actually structure what you're trying to release. And so just going into timing, how do you view timing as a creative, number one? And two, I just diving into your personal life as far as what you do, as far as when you do graphics and websites and all this stuff with your team. How do you manage your time when it comes to just simply what you do? Just talk about the importance of timing for a creative.
Timing is everything. Of course, one of the lessons I learned through trial and error. If I would have known 2 years ago, budget my time like I budget my money and everything else, I probably would be a millionaire with my business by now.
Wow.
But it's like we have to think, okay, same way you budget your money, budget your time. Wow. Time is important because I'm a writing coach as well, and I have a publishing company, so I coach authors all the time. So the last group that I had, it was 25 of them together, and so I let them know, I was like, so you have to set a time that works for you. I was like, so my writing days when I'm writing my books are generally Tuesdays and Thursdays around 2:30 or 3 or late at night, because at that moment in time I can flow.
Yeah.
But no matter what I got going on, I was like, so you have to get to a habit where you meet your appointment time, no matter how you feel, no matter what you have going on, you have to meet your appointment time. And so I think it's one of those things we have to like really learn to build budget, like learn to budget your time, learn how to maximize your time. Because a lot of us, for example, we're trying to creatives. I wholeheartedly believe that creatives are not night owls. I think that we've become night owls because we've had to adjust our lives accordingly and get this stuff done late at night. But I think personally, every creative is a morning person, but life forced us to be night owls.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not trying to make this completely biblical and spiritual, but it's like early night I shall seek thee and I shall find. Like God is a early riser. All these amazing things happen with in the morning.
That's good.
Like from birds chirping, the sun, like all these beautiful things are happening in the morning. So I believe because God is the ultimate creator, He's the first creator, that creatives are designed to work in the morning, not at night.
Wow. Do you feel like just kind of do you feel like that's an area where we follow that because of culture, because of how people what people have done? We follow the Diddy, we follow Jay-Z, we follow all these people. And we look at their work ethic.
They don't sleep. It's like
you know what I'm saying? And even a couple weeks ago, there was this big thing, with Steve Harvey, and he made the comment of like, you don't rest. You need to sleep is overrated, pretty much. And so there's been a lot of hoopla even over that. And so how much as culture, and I guess you could say the secular world when it comes to celebrities and their work ethic, how much has that affected us as creatives, and especially creatives for the kingdom? How much that simply has affected us, whether it's negative or positive?
So I'm gonna be an advocate for a second. So I don't want to blame culture,
okay,
because culture catches it rough. But I think that it's more so of, I believe how do I say it properly?
Yeah.
We are a people who do what we have to do. And because most creatives are not full-time creatives, they usually have full-time day jobs. They are forced to do their passions at night because maybe experience or willingness to kind of take certain big steps to be that creative at that full-time they have not taken, or also they have other responsibilities and bills. For example, like rappers, how they'll go into the studio and be there all night. I do not believe that intentionally that is how it's supposed to be. However, when you work all day, because you got to pay for studio sessions or you have different things like that. All you have is the night to work. So you have been trained. So I guess unintentionally or unintentionally, life has forced society to adjust accordingly to what they love to do and kind of force it into a nighttime thing, you know. But also we got to look at the day and age where, you know, as African Americans, we were taught, get a job, be stable.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so even for those who decided to like start to trying to pursue their passions on the side, it's like they still have to get a job, be stable, and, you know, you do your passions on the side, you know, and, you know, like my mom still thinks that what I do is a hobby. Like, she's like, oh, you're birthing your Same. Man, I'm working with people that you listen to on the radio. And you're like, oh, you're birthing your little visions. You know, I'm like,
little vision.
Yeah. I'm like, well, you know, I just don't even, I'm not offended anymore because I understand that how she was raised and what she was brought up and taught.
Wow.
Stability is 9 to 5. Everything else you do afterwards is at will. And it's like, it's a total shift in mindset right now. We're like, most of us are like, we'll drop this 9 to 5. Figure out this passion thing first before we go, you know, and then we'll go back to a 9 to 5 if we have to. But we'll live broke for a little while before we go back to that 9 to 5. You know, so it's a mindset thing. But I don't want to blame culture because I think that life did it first.
For sure.
But culture had that, we just had to adjust accordingly to the chips that were in our hands, you know, and just being real as African Americans, like, you know, I've got high school classmates that did not have to go to college because they were legitimately set. And they're white kids. I grew up playing tennis in this part of Atlanta. Yeah. So it's like, you know, they were set. They didn't, but now what they're doing stuff like they were the first, like we're starting to travel now as African Americans. Those girls and those boys have been traveling since high school.
Yeah.
Just traveling, you know, for no reason. Traveling. Yeah. But it's like because certain components of life have set them up to be where they can explore their passions first before they have to go get a job.
Yeah, that's
and it's like it's powerful. It's like it's a matter of when you know when certain things are in motion and how they work to your advantage. Like I've got classmates that decide to go to school 2 or 3 years later because they wanted to go abroad for a little while and just be over there, be in Paris or just be in these places or go to do the I can't think of it. It's not. It's the program where you'll go and you'll live with in a village or you'll just kind of.
It's not missions. I think it's college students don't do it a lot. They just go.
Yeah. But you know that's it. Yeah.
College bound trips. College. I think it's like college bound or something like that.
Yeah. Not those, but it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. I know I had a classmate that did it. It's like something for. Not feed the world, but anyway, they get to go and they get to just live in other countries for 6 months at a time and do humanitarian work and philanthropic work.
Yeah.
But you know, when your mom can write a check and just pay $3,000 for you to do that, and you have the ability, you got a high school diploma, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go explore my passions and not worry about how I'm gonna eat. You know, how am I gonna take care of this? It's a whole different ball. It's a whole different setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think so. I say life did it first, but culture adjusted. And so now we've even adjusted because it's the same thing. Most of us like got jobs and love what we do, but it's like we have to create time afterwards to do what we love. And sometimes those times are not the most beneficial for what it is what it is we're actually doing.
Yeah, no, that's key. And that's key. And even just if it was like for myself, I mean, I'm a full-time teacher. So this is not a you know, Craft Factory is just, it's running full-fledged on its own. We've been surviving. Nah, like, we have been going strong, but it's a matter of, one, having a right team, you know, praise God for that. At the same time, like you said, a lot of creatives they're not operating fully on their creative beings like that. There is another support system there. And me personally, I don't feel like it's a wrong thing at that time. Like some people view it as such a horrible thing, like, oh man, I'm a creative, but I'm working this 9 to 5, and they just all of a sudden they feel like they're stuck in life. And it's like, bro, slow down. Like you're fine. You know what I'm saying? And it's very key. So just going forward, and I know we're running out of time, but I want to my last question is, what are you looking forward to? So what are you looking forward to for you as your business and just as a person? And 2, what are you looking forward to amongst just seeing creatives as a whole?
Okay. Wow.
I know that's a loaded question, but yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm looking forward to, I can be pretty open.
Yeah.
So I've just recently began to desire my own future, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
For the longest, I was, work, go, provide, do what I want to do, enjoy my life, and I was more so caught up in wanting and desiring and working to enjoy the present that I never really connected or even really connected or fell in love with the future that's in front of me.
Wow.
And so for me personally, I have started to fall in love with my own future, which has even kind of changed what I do, how I do it, what I'm working on, because I'm stepping a little bit more outside of the present and attaching myself more to the future. So it's like at first I was like, on the teeter-totter, I was like holding on to the past, trying to get to the present. And it's like now I've shifted to where it's like I'm in the present and got my hands on
right. Yeah.
Back and forth with it. And I feel like that's a great place to be, because you have a moment to enjoy where you are, but you also have the mindset to remember that there is something else greater awaiting me that already has my name on it. So that's where I am as a person. And of course, that's shifting absolutely everything. It's opening my mind to other things that are on the inside of me. I was trying to lock myself into a businessman. I was never trying to make myself per se a ministry man, even though I'm an ordained pastor. But I was like, even still, like I was like, but now God is even opening my eyes to what I can do, and even like how far I can take this, because one of the things that's like going to come future tense, I'm going to have like a boys' home of some kind, for like middle-aged, like like that teenage group, where they'll be able to kind of come in and really just kind of be restored all together across the board, but that was not something that I got the concept for until I more so got out of past to present and joined more so of present to future.
Yeah, that's so
like,
good.
I love what I do. I love to make an impact on people, but it's like birthing visions. It may not be something like if I birth visions for 5 more years, I may be tired of birthing visions. So what's next?
Wow.
But now I have an idea of like what I'm doing, what I'm working towards. So now it's even opening my eyes to when I'm having certain conversations or I'm having certain consultations with people who are doing different things. I'm like, oh, nonprofit work. Okay. Oh, you're starting this. So now I'm even like, my mindset is shifting and changing and becoming more so of what I needed to be for the things that are kind of coming forward for my future. So I would say I've started to fall in love with my future, and that's allowing me to kind of.
Obviously, I could be wrong, and Max is going to tell me why.
Hold on, guys.
Obviously, I must admit, Max Kellerman, I'm just locked in.
What
I mean by that.
So that was that. What am I looking for?
Can you hear me?
Vision break. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. My phone was ringing. I'm like, all kind of stuff was like, oh Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. Even with like what I'm looking for from vision birth, because I was in that place of past to present, trying to live in the now. And like now I'm looking at present, future, kind of in that toggle. I see that I desire an office space. I desire for this to be a full-time job for somebody where you can contact Vision Birth to come into our office facility and sit down. We can consult with you right there on spot. Then we can get your program started, get your website going, get your graphics going, get you on a writing, our writing coaching program, get your book published, all those different things. I am now seeing that as a business, a standalone business, not necessarily just what I'm doing virtually right now because it's cool to work from home,
Yeah.
So a lot of what I'm seeing big is like I now have big goals, big dreams, and so I'm going to have big results because I am looking from a different seat.
Wow, that's key.
Yeah, that's key. And then for creatives, I'm excited for the moment in time that's about to happen, where especially because I my faith is at the center of what I do, and God is the source of my life in every way possible. But I'm excited about that creativity is being welcomed into church because creativity started from God, who
right.
So
right.
So I'm excited about that component because it's going to enhance what we're able to do as far as like expanding the kingdom of God. Because the creativity that we're seeing on Netflix with Beyonce's documentary and the Taylor Swift documentary for her concert, that's all these things all these creative concepts that we're seeing as like that mega artists are doing. These people are going to start to find their way back into the houses of God, and we're going to be able to create truly powerful but attractive presentations of the God that we serve.
Yeah.
I don't believe in God simply because we make it so unattractive. People think that you're broke and desolate and without to be saved. We don't realize, and then like if you don't believe that, it's a prosperity thing. Well, the Bible has promised us prosperity.
Right.
Part of the promise is a part. Now, everybody's prosperity may look different but it said, I wish you to prosper as your soul prospers. A lot of us are not prospering because our souls aren't prospering. Not that the abilities and not that the access and not that the things are not there, but it's like our souls are not prospering just yet. So it's kind of, we haven't even put ourselves in the realm, in the place of where prosperity can happen because our souls are still damaged and we're not working on those. So I said all that to say, like, I'm excited about where creatives are going because I know where they're coming back. They're coming, they're welcomed back to the place that rejected them and pushed them out there. And now they're making a bunch of money out there, but they're still not happy. We're able to kind of restore happiness and still utilize the greatness that's on the inside of them. So I'm excited about that happening because it's a win for everybody involved. It's a win for God. It's a win for the kingdom. It's a win for the churches. It's a win for the souls that we're going to be able to attract and to save and introduce them to covenant with God, all because the God we serve finally begins to look attractive.
Come on. Yeah. Evan, man, I appreciate you so much for the nuggets that you dropped on us and just you being you. And like you said, the main thing is just offering yourself so people can relate to you and people can resonate with you. And that's where it comes from. It's not all about marketing and I'll say it's not about just uploading a photo and be like, bam, there it is. Like, it's not about making a flyer and making it look cute and you're getting this feedback. Like, it is about results. It is about strategy. It is about all the things, but it's possible to marry that with your identity, with who you are, what you show. And so I just appreciate that and I honor you for that, man. Is there any upcoming projects that you want to showcase or release? And how can people find you?
Okay, well, I answer the second one first. You can find me, go to my website, www.iamevanbrown.com. You can follow me on Instagram, I am Evan Brown. You can follow me on Twitter, I am Evan Brown. You can add me on Facebook, Evan S. Brown. Yes. I'm there. Also, follow my business page if you're interested in not being like my friends and want to follow me twice. You can follow me on Visions to kind of see a snapshot of, some of the things that we're doing. Got going on. And then also coming up, I'm getting ready to release my next book called How to Fail as an Entrepreneur. I believe wholeheartedly that if we can teach you how to fail or put in front of you how to fail, that success will be a little bit easier to grab hold of because you know what not to do. So that's here. I've got some amazing courses coming up in the next couple months. I got my business conference coming up in August, but I got some great resources. If nothing else, I have some great resources on my website. If you're looking to write a book, I have a writer's packet on there. I have coached about 35 people into authorship, and I'm excited about that. I've written 5 books myself, so that's always a great thing to be able to say. So I have some amazing products there. I have past webinars on how to start nonprofits. I got ebooks on how to jumpstart your social media. Most people don't realize that social media is designed to help you win. They don't realize that God gave us social media so the kingdom can be expanded. So we're missing out on opportunities and money because we're not utilizing what God placed in front of us.
Right.
So and also I have one of my favorite things I've ever written is called For the Purpose Chaser. God gave me a revelation on purpose because I know so many people are in search of purpose, trying to find out why am I here. And God is not withholding that from people. But God gave me a revelation on purpose a couple of years ago that, and I'll give a snapshot of it, is that many of us are searching for purpose, but we're not even able to identify what's not purpose for us.
Wow.
One of the things in the book that, and there are ebooks, but I walk you through like how to identify what's not purpose for you right now. Like, what are you standing in the middle of that's not purpose for you? And also I help people go through some things, ask a series of questions and kind of process, trying to change the mindset for individuals to realize you may be looking for purpose and maybe be standing slap dab in the middle of it. But because you're looking at it from lens, you don't realize that your entire life's work, you're standing in the middle of it right now. And you're searching and you are not eating and fasting and putting all your money on the altar, believing God to answer the question of why. And it's like you are standing in your why, but you just don't see it because you're not looking at it right. So that is one of my favorite things that I've written. I love it. You can download all those things on my website, iamevanbrown.com. Join my mailing list. All of that goodness. Just connect with me. I would love to connect with you. And let's go from there.
Yeah. So iamevanbrown.com. Feel free to connect with him and give him all your questions, all your consultations, all the everything that you need He's just the one-stop shop for all content. And so we appreciate you. We love you for this. Just want to close out in prayer, and then we'll be out of here. So, Father God, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you that you're able to just not only sharpen us, equip us with your words and information, but God, we just thank you for who you are. We thank you that we're able to be representations of your kingdom and be just vessels of your work. So God, just have your way through us. God, I thank you for Evan Brown. I thank you that you are literally touching his mind and our heart in a new way, giving him new levels and new dimensions of faith and new dimensions of even his purpose, and showing him the angles and the nooks and the crannies of everything that he feels like, or if he did miss. God, I thank you that you're highlighting it to him. And I thank you right now that you're able to give him more of a sharpening and more resources like never before, that he will not get overwhelmed. He will not be pressured by anything, but he simply is following your ways and your will. And because of that, we thank you for that. We thank you for his life in itself. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, man. We thank you so much. Can't wait to connect in the future. In the meantime, thank you for stepping to the factory. This is the Craft Factory. The next webinar, June 15th, with our good friend, Justin Foster. We are all kind of in the same network, which I find that really, really amazing. And so I praise God for that. And so until then, see you next time. And then, Mr. Evan Brown, we are signing out. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Right. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Peace.